Alright, YouTube, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel, and today is an exciting one because we are going to be taking a look at my first impression review of the Topo Athletic Ultrafly 3. And real quick, I'd love to thank All Cats Are Gray for commenting this shoe review request down below, and if you have a shoe you want me to review, I encourage you to do the same. Topo Athletic is actually a pretty low profile brand. It's one of the smaller shoe companies out there, but they're doing really cool things, and I think this shoe is a testament to that. So I'm gonna leave a link down to their website below so you guys can take a look at what they have to offer, and of course you can see this shoe on there too if it is interesting you after this review. But without any further ado, let's get into my first impression review of the Topo Athletic Ultrafly 3. With an external TPU heel counter and EVA medial post, the Ultrafly 3 offers rear foot stability and light pronation resistance. The cushioned 2-density zip foam midsole offers more long-term resilience and a higher rebound compared to traditional EVA midsole foams. The Ultrafly 3 is a perfect daily trainer for those seeking a moderately cushioned ride with light guidance. Now we're going to get into some of the stats of this shoe before I give you my overall opinion from top to bottom. So let's get right into it, starting with the stack height. So the shoe is a 5mm drop from heel to toe with 28mm in the heel and 23mm in the forefoot. So there's a good amount of cushion going on here, and the 5mm drop is pretty standard in a daily training shoe. Usually you see somewhere between 4mm to 10mm, but I would say if you've only ever worn 10mm drop shoes, which is kind of a traditional sizing for something like Adidas or Nike, then I'd highly recommend to ease your way into something lower like a 5 or 4mm drop. So now we're moving on to the weight of the shoe, coming in at 9.6 ounces in a men's size 9 and an 8.4 ounces in a woman's size 8. Pretty lightweight shoe as far as daily trainers go, and I think it offers a lot as far as build quality for something that actually comes in under 10 ounces, like well under 10 ounces. So I would say big plus to Topo on that. I think they did a great job. So moving on to the fit of the shoe. Topo is actually very famous for having a very wide toe box area and platform in the forefoot. Similar to Ultra, I think it allows your foot to splay out more naturally, kind of closer to getting a barefoot-like feel, but you're still getting plenty of protection from the shoe. As someone with a very narrow foot, I usually prefer to have a nice snug lockdown in the forefoot, but I actually really enjoyed getting my toes to splay out on this wider toe box area, and it felt really good as someone who had a narrow foot too, so I wasn't swimming around in there. And I think that's a testament to the shoe's ability to lock your foot down in the top midfoot area and the heel area. So there's no splaying around in there. You're not swimming around in the shoe, even though you get a lot of good space for your toes to splay out. And for those wide foot runners out there, I know there's a lot of you guys, I would say this is a great option to try, because you're going to get a lot of space in that toe box area, and you're probably going to get a lot of your normal traditional shoe problems solved with something like this. So highly encourage you to take a look at this shoe and this brand if you have a wider foot. So now we're going to look at some of the features on the upper. Topo is using one of their engineered upper mesh materials to lock your foot down so it's comfortable, breathable, and locks your foot down well. It keeps weight to a minimum, which is great, and there's plenty of padding on the tongue. It's not your premium padded tongue, but it still is enough to feel good. Topo is using a molded foam collar for added comfort and a better lock and fit. I thought that the heel area was very comfortable, and like I said earlier, they add a good feature of support here by adding a TPU heel collar in there, and as you can see, it's pretty rigid. It definitely locks your foot in well if you're looking for a little extra rigid support in the heel counter area. As we talked about earlier, that wide toe box is great. They're calling it an anatomical toe box for an extra wide forefoot feel, and it really does allow your toes to splay out naturally. And one thing I'll say about that is, because I'm not used to wearing a shoe this wide, I'll probably have some soreness in my feet tomorrow just because I'm not quite used to it. So I'd encourage you to take that into account if you're using this shoe for the first time, but it shouldn't be an issue in the long run, and it's probably good for your feet, to be honest, because I think we restrict our feet a lot in the modern shoes that we wear today. So that's something to think about. Moving on to the midsole. So the Ultrafly 3 is implementing a full-length zip foam midsole that offers lightweight cushioning with more rebound than the traditional EVA midsole foam. I'm gonna say right now, that is so true. Even in the first couple miles I was running in this shoe, I totally felt a nice extra pop. And this shoe doesn't have any extra frills besides just the midsole foam, feeling cushioned on the impact and snappy on the response. And shout out to Topo for implementing a very creative midsole foam that they have created on their own. So I was really into it, and I can't wait to see how durable it is over the long run. And as far as those seeking a little stability feature in a shoe, they do feature a nice solid medial posting here on the medial side of the shoe, and that helps prevent too much inward rolling if you're an excess over pronator. This is definitely better if you're a neutral runner who likes a little extra stability, or if you're just a medium or mild over pronator. If you have any excess pronation issues, then you probably want to go with something a little more sturdy than this. Moving on to the outsole, as you can see, it's pretty simple and pretty standard. They're calling it just their rubber outsole, and it's placed in strategically high wear and impact areas like the back of the heel, and plenty of rubber on that toe box area that you'd see in a daily trainer. So, you know, there's just enough there, and because the shoe is actually pretty lightweight for a daily trainer, it's not bad at all. This is pretty good. It's going to get you plenty of durability out of there. It's actually pretty thick, but it's not increasing the weight that much. So I was pretty happy with that as well. No complaints there, and I think that that's going to be solid for the durability prediction. So we will get into that pretty soon here. But first, we're going to move on to my positives and drawbacks of the shoe. My first positive is that I'd say the lockdown was awesome in the heel area and the top of the midfoot. The way they dynamically spread out lockdown and toe splay was just really great. You know, I've never ran in a wide toe box shoe before. I've been skeptical about it, but you know what? This is pretty neat. So I was pretty into it. I had a lot of fun running in this shoe. And again, that snappy feel really encourages you to pick up the pace on an easy run, but you can also feel pretty secure in a shoe like this if you're just hitting a recovery day. But that being said, my drawback is it markets itself as a stability shoe, but I don't know if they add enough stability features if you are someone who needs to put their trust in a shoe to make sure they're biomechanically efficient from heel to toe off. So maybe they want to look at that a little bit more. I'd say that's more of an issue if you are an excess over pronator. For me, that wasn't a big deal, but I'd say that's something to think about when you're kind of marketing the shoe as more of a stability shoe. May not be a big issue in the long run if you educate yourself on what you're getting. Getting on to my durability prediction, I'm gonna say this shoe is gonna get you a pretty decent 400 to 500 miles on the shoe, considering how well it distributes force throughout the midsole with the wider toe box. You're not gonna break down this midsole that fast. And then also this durability on the rubber outsole I think is going to be good, but I will know more when you guys see my full review after 50 miles. So stay tuned for that. So moving on to what I think this shoe will be best for. Best for someone who's looking for natural toe splay with a hint of stability and looking for a shoe to get them through recovery days, daily training runs, and kind of medium runs where they want to pick up the pace a little bit, because this shoe can get snappy if you want to. So now moving on to the price. At a sticker price of $130, I'd say that's actually a pretty fair bet for this shoe, considering what you're getting in terms of durability and versatility. You can do easy runs, you can do pick up the pace runs, you can do a variety of different mileage on this shoe, and I'm really happy with that price. I mean, of course, would I be happier if it was at 120 or 115? Of course, but at some point you just kind of bite the bullet and see what you got with this shoe. And because it's a smaller company, I am more than happy to pay full price for something like this and give them a little extra business, because they're doing some cool things, and I encourage you to check it out too. The Topo Athletic Ultrafly 3 is a really solid daily training shoe. I'm really excited to get more work out of it, and I think it's gonna bring a lot to the table. Stay tuned for my full review coming out in a couple of weeks when I get about 50 plus miles on it, and until next time then, I cannot wait to get more miles on the Topo Athletic Ultrafly 3. You guys are all great. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm gonna keep the outro short, but just know I love you all, and I really appreciate all the comments, the likes, and the subscribes. I think we're really building a cool community here, and I can't wait to keep this content rolling, baby. So until next time, y'all know the drill. Stay healthy, stay chill. Cheers, friends.